Sota.
I'm Yuta.
I'm Wilta.
And today we'll be filming with Haruki, an influencer from Japan who mainly makes videos on studying abroad, English communication skills, and his life in the States. He has over 350,000 subscribers on YouTube, 45,000 followers on Instagram, and has also recently published a book. He is not only famous and popular for his information on studying abroad and English communication skills, but also his daily life vlogs.
Yeah, and he also got married in the US to Kayla, who is also an influencer, and they're both especially popular to young people.
They live in the US, but right now they're in Japan for a temporary visit. So today we're going to film with them and we're going to interview them. So let's cut to the interview.
Yeah!
This is Haruki and this is Kayla. First, could you please introduce yourselves?
My name is Haruki. I write a book and I do make social media content. And yeah.
I'm Kayla. I also make social media content as well.
Okay, so today we're going to be interviewing them. So we too would like to study abroad one day in the future, and I think there are many people watching right now who would like to learn a second language such as English or Japanese. So we would like to ask questions from that point of view as well.
Awesome.
Let's start.
Yeah.
Now you upload videos in English from the US, but I heard that until you were in high school, you really hated English, right? So is there any particular reason you started to like English?
Yeah, I hated English so much. But I met friends when I was high school student. First year of high school, I went to study abroad and homestay for a month. And they had 8 kids, and the youngest was a year older than me. And that's the time I met a soulmate, and I really vibed with him, but I couldn't communicate with him.
Okay.
So I think my motivation of studying English came from meeting American friend.
Oh, okay.
And
so to talk with him, you had to learn English.
Yes, and I had a struggle of, I can't communicate with my own words. I was communicating with my iPhone at the time. And then I went back to Japan, studied really hard.
The English grind.
So finding out the motivation of why I study English, I found in the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell specifically how you learned English even though you weren't very good at it first?
So, of course, I studied through Japanese textbook, and I also memorized a lot of vocabularies. But the biggest turning point was texting with that friend. I was texting every day, more than 30 messages. And there are 3 components of studying English: input, output, and motivation. And
so your motivation was sending messages to that friend?
Yes.
Chatting with your friend.
Yeah, and the output was the messages?
Yeah.
And the inputs the ones you learned from the books?
Also, texting, you receive the message.
Oh.
So
The
you are
messages that you
inputting
receive.
the message, and then I'm outputting. I'm writing down. And it was nice to text them because it gave me time to think. And sometimes my friends use advanced vocabularies that I didn't know at the time, but I could use Google Translation to translate and, oh, this is what it meant. What should I write them back? And I could use Google Translation to think and really process through how to structure the vocabularies and make it to a sentence and then send
Make it a full
back.
sentence.
So yeah,
Learn the
texting
structure.
texting was my best way of learning English.
Yeah, because by texting you can learn the basics of English conversation and how to form sentences.
Yeah.
But how did you learn the pronunciation? Because when you're texting, you're not pronouncing, but how did you learn the English pronunciation?
I think speaking part was when I went to Tennessee for study abroad for 6 months. That was second year of high school. And that's when I really spent time of speaking English with my friends,
Your first time studying abroad was a short-term one at Cebu Island, right?
Cebu Island? Yeah.
So, well, how was it?
It was amazing. It was a great place. Very family-oriented. They have a lot of passion, open-minded. I felt a lot of love there and strong connection.
With people there?
With people, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it English native island or?
I think they study English as a second language as well, so they can understand where I was coming from, because they also learn English as a second language.
Okay.
It wasn't their native, but they use it in daily casual cases. But
So you could really relate to them?
yeah, and they could also rate me
Okay.
of how difficult to study English as a
I
second
see.
language, right? So like the vocabularies they use or the certain phrase they use is very similar to the approach that I took. So it was like a good step before going to college. So I went to Cebu for 3 months and then went to college in US.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard that you went to the States afterwards, but did you find any difficulties or things that were hard to adapt to?
Yes and no.
Yes and
When I went to US, I felt like I was home. I felt that my free will was winning again.
no. Oh, okay.
How I was raised was really unique. The kindergarten that I went to, they endorse creativity, collaboration, and love. For example, you have like a sports event, right?
Yeah.
And you sprint 50 meters. And I was always fast, so I was like going in first. But the goal line always rise. So nobody actually wins, but everyone finishes. And there's some kids that stop running
Yeah.
and they don't know what's going on. But all the parents and teachers wait for them until
They
they finish. We just wait. And some kids start crying because they don't know what's going on.
I would be that kid.
Yeah.
I would be the last one.
But we all wait. And it's amazing. Patience creates so much. And when they accomplish something, they know they can overcome their struggles
Yeah,
and the
overcome
fear
struggles.
they face. So I think the school that I went was really unique. And then I went to public elementary school, and that was more of competition
Yeah.
and science. And so we forget that science comes from our imagination, but we still endorse science and competition and no patience, right?
Yeah.
So I was raised up so unique and then went back to public school. So I had a culture shock there.
Mm.
And then I went to study abroad and I felt like, oh, it feels very familiar the way I was raised. So in a way, I felt like, oh, this is what I know.
Like I'm home.
Yeah. And I can be free again.
Yeah.
So that's the feeling I felt. And of course, there's like a little struggle of like my friends come to my bed with shoes on and the little things that happens.
I still don't know why Americans do that. I do not do that.
Yeah. So yeah. So yes and no.
Okay. So I bet there are a lot of people who want to go study abroad, but what kind of person do you think is suited to doing that kind of thing?
I don't know. I really don't know because you know.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it definitely, like, there is, like, types of people who should or shouldn't. I think if somebody's very open-minded, they'd be more suited. It's not like people who aren't open-minded can't. It's just that it might be a little bit easier for someone who is open-minded and open to the culture.
Yeah.
And someone who's interested in researching about the culture and also language by watching like YouTube videos. I think that's the easiest way. But just someone who's interested, I think. You know?
Yeah, because
You
if
have
you're
to have
interested,
You
some
have
sort
to
of
have-
interest.
Otherwise, you're not gonna like it.
yeah, and if you're interested and you understand it a bit, you would, understand some of the little differences that you found after you went there, right?
Yeah. But is there any person who goes to study abroad without any interest and find something there?
I mean, it might be because like their parents make them. Like that might be the circumstance for some people. Like their parents like, you're gonna go to America.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't want to.
But they could find something there.
Yeah.
I think what I was trying to say is that I don't think there's anyone that is suitable for blah 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 or going to stay abroad because that already limits, oh, maybe I'm not suitable so I shouldn't go.
Yeah.
But you can still go there and might find something that you never experienced in your country,
Yeah, so anyone can try it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think anyone can try.
I think there's just factors that help it make it a little
Make
bit
it a little bit
I
easier
see.
for some people.
Yeah. So could be
I
everyone.
agree.
Yeah, I've heard that you moved to various places in the U.S., but like, do you have any recommended spots to like study or to move to?
That also depends on the person of interest and what they want to do. But I really like New York City and
New
Miami.
York City, the Big Apple.
Yeah, Big Apple and Miami.
Hawaii's a vibe.
Yeah,
too.
Hawaii's really good too.
Hawaii's a little bit more expensive, but there's also a Japanese community there
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for that, I would say like Hawaii, LA, New York City. If you-
Texas is growing too.
I'm actually going to Texas soon.
Yeah.
I don't really want to, but I am. But yeah, so
Elon Musk is there.
yeah, I mean,
Sometimes.
it depends on what you want. If you want a more tropical vibe, maybe Florida. You know, Florida's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it really depends. I think also a lot of people in America base where they live off of the laws in certain states because
Yeah.
they're all different.
Yeah.
I think if that's a big thing for you, then research into that.
Yeah.
I don't base where I live off of laws
Yeah.
for the most part, just because like I don't like to consume almost negative media, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just go where my heart wants to go,
Yeah.
which is Florida right now. I like the warm weather. It's really nice. There's things to do, but it depends on what you want.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Depends. If you like a city vibe, maybe New York City
Or about a
LA.
warmer, tropical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would choose Florida.
yeah.
Right.
If you like a quiet country vibe, then maybe like the Middle East,
Yeah.
or I mean, I wouldn't recommend, but if someone likes that vibe, then maybe like, you know, if you like the Southern Alabama, you know, it really depends on what the individual person is looking for. We can't really recommend like you should go here because
Yeah.
everybody's different.
Yeah.
You know,
I would go to New York.
yeah.
You know?
Big Apple.
Big
Yeah.
Apple.
Is it true that you can learn and improve your language skills when your boyfriend or girlfriend is like a native speaker?
I would say yes, because you fight for love. So you learn a lot about language, but also culture itself as well. Love is really interesting because negativity is always win against positivity 4 and 7 times more. If you make a thumbnail of smiley face versus sad face, more people are likely to click sad face because we are attracted to the negativity. And that's how media portray sometimes because they want attraction and they can tell the story they want. But love wins the negativity because love accepts negativity and experiencing negativity is a
Right.
positive experience. So going back to fighting for love, there's certain things that I thought it was negative. For example, I wasn't really a huggy person and I'm not really affectionate and I'm not used to saying I love you and stuff like that, but that was her love language. She wanted physical affection above exchange.
I don't think it was necessarily my love language. I was just brought up that
Yeah.
way. My parents, every single night before going to bed, they say I love you. They give me a hug good night. It's a very different culture
Yeah.
in America. I think for the most part, a lot of people in America experience that.
Yeah.
Some people don't, but I think a lot of people do.
And I thought that was missing from me because I wasn't receiving that as much in Japan. But love taught me that I can also do it, you know.
Oh, so
It gives you permission
Yeah.
to
So
do it.
that's like culture exchange too. Like.
Yeah, that's culture exchange. So it's a lot deeper than just the language aspect. It's also more culture things.
Yeah. I would say with the language situation, in my opinion, I feel like someone who's trying to learn the other language, it's almost more beneficial to be with the person who only speaks that language and doesn't speak your native language,
Yeah.
because otherwise you might be talking in the same language. Like if I spoke Japanese fluently, we might just only speak Japanese.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what we do. We only speak English.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I think on my end of things, it's harder because he speaks English, you know? So we speak in English, we don't.
Because he
Like-
can speak English.
Right, so we never really speak in Japanese unless I'm trying to learn a word
Yeah.
or something. So I mean, that's one of the reasons why we came to Japan too, so I could like be surrounded by the culture and learn different phrases and words and stuff.
Yeah.
But it would be very difficult for me to learn Japanese in the States. I think.
Yeah, because there's not many people who can speak
Yeah.
Japanese in
Yeah.
the state.
We communicate in English all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless I had a friend that only spoke Japanese and like very, very little English,
Yeah.
I think it's like almost nearly impossible because I don't learn by books. I learn by like experience. So
And sometimes even when I'm talking to my friend or her, they get used to my way of communication and they stop correcting me if I make any mistakes. And then it
yeah.
becomes like, oh, like they get me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so
They understand you too
well,
much.
yes.
Yeah.
So
They stop correcting your English, so
Yeah.
you don't know if it's the right English or not.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
I try to correct it like when I catch it, but I think I also get used to it as well.
Yeah.
I think the only time I really catch it and it's helpful that he does videos because I catch it in videos more than I do like in normal conversation.
Yeah.
Because I can understand everything he says, whether it's the wrong pronunciation or not. And
Yeah.
also there's a very big difference between pronouncing something wrong and an accent.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, like Japanese, will apologize for their English, and I'm like, your English is perfectly fine. Like you just have a Japanese accent, and
yeah.
that's okay because you are Japanese. That's
Yeah.
cool. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I think there's a huge difference between like an accent and not pronouncing something correctly.
Yeah. Intonation.
And if you aren't pronouncing something correctly, there's no reason to like be shameful about it
Yeah.
either. It's just a learning experience.
Yeah. So answer to your question, overall, yes, it sharpens your English and make you learn more because it comes with the culture aspect.
Well, you two have different like ways of thinking
Yeah.
and come from different cultures and countries, right?
Yeah.
Well, how did you get married in the first place?
I think just knowing that like we fit well together.
Yeah.
I think also our way of thinking is not that different. We think very similarly.
Mhm.
I think the culture background is a little bit different,
Yeah.
but that's kind of meshed now, I would
Yeah.
say, because he's like almost very Americanized at this point.
Yeah.
And we did have a lot of like miscommunications in the beginning.
Yeah.
Very like, because I think it all comes down to perspective of the way a person perceives things, because the way I might perceive something could be negative or positive, and then the way he perceives something could be the total opposite.
Yeah.
And it's just based on your cultural background, where you come from, your personal interpretation of things. So I think it's not necessarily like the communication that is the key to everything. You know, I know I'm trailing off here, but I think it's also listening to the person and hearing where they're coming from and why they think the way they're thinking, and try to put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
So I think the way we think is similar now, but it didn't used to be. It kind of meshed
Of course,
over
yeah.
time because we understood each other's culture a little bit better.
I can't really distinguish the difference between dating with Japanese women and American women anymore, because you can find someone in the US that are a lot like Japanese, vice versa, but it really comes down to personal belief and like
Yeah.
how they are raised.
Mhm.
We meet now here is because how we raised or our past is somewhat similar.
Yeah.
So that's why we feel comfortable at the present, and we kind of know where we are going in
Yeah.
the future.
Mhm.
That's why we meet now. So the race doesn't really matter
Yeah.
when it comes to meeting now.
Because even if you're from a different country, like you might feel that that's a match, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
So, because yeah, like similar ways of thinking, or like if you see a future of you and the other person.
Yeah.
I think also it develops over time too. You don't just get married right away.
Yeah.
That's not like the goal. I mean, some people date for marriage, and I did date for marriage, but we were also so young when we met, and I think like we initially started dating because we had the same hobby together.
Yeah.
We both did YouTube. And so that was really helpful to connect with and really fun for us. And we both love traveling. And then there started to be like little conflicts here and there,
Yeah.
you know, with different cultural things. And then we worked through those things. So it happened over time and naturally. And I think, you know, it's not like we just decide to get married.
Yeah, of course. It didn't
definitely
happen overnight.
Yeah.
It happened like over
Overnight.
what, like 2 years, I think?
That's 3 years because
2 or
we've been
3.
dating 5
I
years
don't
now.
remember at this
So,
point.
Yeah, we spent
I
a lot
see.
of time together
Yeah. I think we spent a lot more time together also than normal people.
because of COVID, and we had to quarantine for 24 hours.
Because of COVID and also because we're self-employed. We don't go outside to work.
Right, you don't work for
Yeah,
a company.
we
Yeah.
work in this almost same profession, and which also like we need to find balance with too, because sometimes we spend too much time together.
Yeah.
But I think for spending a lot of time together, like in the way someone from the outside would perceive it, we're a pretty healthy couple for like what it is. You
Yeah.
know, it's really interesting. Because I know there was like a lot of breakups during COVID.
Yeah.
But we grew closer together.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any changes in yourself or in your partner since you got married?
Yes. I mean, going back to where I was saying how we communicate love, I wasn't really affectionate. I wasn't really saying the word love because do we use love in Japanese?
Yeah.
Yeah, the way
Right.
we use it is different.
Yeah, and translation always says love is daisuki. The word aisho we never almost hear it, maybe once in a year.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big change more than I think because
We say it every day.
if you don't say the word love, how do you even feel what is love?
Yeah.
You know? So
How would you know?
yeah, do you feel love when you're living in Japan? Maybe we do, but
With
We don't
actions.
express it.
yeah, we
right?
don't express it. So I think learning a new emotion
Yeah.
through marriage is really
And
big.
learning how to express your emotions
Yeah.
more freely.
Yeah, and also accepting the emotion.
Yeah.
Accepting feelings.
Yeah. So like sometimes you don't know what you're feeling. Really, we tend to suppress our emotion down, and then we explode. Right? That's
Yeah.
happened a lot of times in society. But you know, really feel what you feel and actually tell them how you feel. Communicate. So we talk a lot, like a lot. Like the other day, we had a little bit of conflict and we talked for 6 hours.
6 hours?
Yeah.
Was it really?
I think yeah,
Oh.
but that's usual.
I didn't realize it was that long. I thought
We
it was
really
like
fixed it
I
too
thought it
much.
was like an hour, 2 hours. I didn't think it was 6 hours.
But sometimes we literally spend a day.
Yeah, sometimes we spend a
talk.
whole day.
Even
to resolve
yesterday,
something.
We were talking probably like 2 hours.
But that was like a more positive
Yeah,
conversation,
positive
like a
conversation.
deep talk.
Yeah, we
Um,
talk a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I can say like just strictly like from when we got married. I think I could say from like the whole relationship, the differences I noticed, because like it's not like you get married and things change, right? I mean, like for some people it does, but I think what I noticed, like the big changes would be like in the beginning of our relationship. You would think it wouldn't be this way, but I also didn't communicate in the most effective way. I was raised, as much as my parents loved me, they yelled a lot. So that was my way of communicating, was yelling, because I did not feel like I was being heard in certain things, and it also didn't help that we're from two totally different backgrounds. So then I really felt like I wasn't being heard. So then I would like just yell at him, and I thought that was normal because that was like
The way you were raised.
that was the way I was raised, and that was the way that I could like that my previous communications like we would
and let
communicate.
people hear your voice, right?
Yeah, and so, and it wasn't in like a good way either. It was more of like yelling at him.
Yeah.
Like he dropped a pizza in the oven. I was like, why would you do that?
It's like a small thing.
It's such a
and, like,
small
I didn't understand
situation.
why she's so
And
get mad and
I think part of it was also because I didn't understand how to feel my feelings. I only knew how to express them very loudly, if that actually feeling my emotions, I would just blurt them out instead and let other people realize how I'm feeling rather than me understanding. And so I think that's like a way that I've grown a lot, and the way that I like worked through that is like meditation, and like he actually called me out on it very early on in the relationship. He said, "Why are you yelling at me all the time?" And I didn't realize it was a problem. I didn't know. And so I think it's common with like some Americans, that issue, because it all comes down to like the parents, the grandparents, and how you were raised and stuff. And so I also think one of the ways that he's grown a lot throughout our relationship would be like just the communication aspect of like actually feeling his emotions, because I think also no matter where you're from in society, I think men are conditioned to not feel things, and I think that it's very common for men to suppress their emotions. So I think he's learned a lot to actually know it's okay to like feel what he's feeling and also express those. Yeah.
Accepting, feeling, and expressing.
Yeah.
Well, you came here to Japan like for the first time in 3 years because of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Well, did you feel anything that was like really good about Japan after leaving Japan? Like when you returned, you were like, "Oh my God, Japan was this nice," and stuff like that, or find anything that was like you thought was really dumb, or you know, really like about Japan?
For me, I had extreme culture shock this time around. Before, I don't think I stayed here long enough to even have culture shock, because we only stayed 2 weeks before, and I was extremely jet lagged. So I was just tired the whole time I was here before. I didn't really get to experience that much. So this time, it almost took me like a month to like really like, I don't want to say appreciate Japan, but like enjoy it more, because first I dealt with jet lag, and then he got sick. And then I was inside for a while because like I didn't want to go outside by myself. I was scared, like, because I can't speak Japanese really. I can only say like a couple things. And so then I didn't go outside that much, which like sometimes I would, and then I got like extreme culture shock. I only speak English really. I can say a couple phrases in Japanese. Like I really have to learn Japanese to communicate here. And then I realized like I'm relying on him, which isn't even fair because it's like one person I'm putting a lot of pressure on. So like he's like communicating back and forth between my mom and you know everything. And so I think like a lot of it was like the communication, but also little things would add up, like the trash situation. Like in America, we throw everything in like 1 to 2 trash cans, whereas here I think it's like 4 or 6.
Yeah.
And that's overwhelming for me because I can speak a little bit of Japanese, but reading is not like, there's no way. So reading the labels on the trash, I'm like, every single time I'm asking like, where does this go? And then also I think another thing was like my clothing is very different from the clothing that women wear here. Here they cover up a lot and it's hot outside. Like it is very hot. I'm like, how are you guys not sweating? I'm confused. So I think like what I wear in America is like in the summer, like very short shorts and like a cropped tank top, and that's normal. And here, someone asked if I was wearing a swimsuit outside. And so I got like really self-conscious and started buying like clothes here and tried to like, and I think that was like honestly the main thing is not feeling comfortable and confident in my own clothing, because in America I'm fine, but here I just feel like everybody's looking at me and I don't want to like feel disrespectful in any way. So I think that was like a very, very big thing for me with the culture shock, is not feeling comfortable in my clothing. But now I'm enjoying Japan a lot more and experiencing things.
That's good. That's nice to hear.
It's great to meet my family and catching up with my friends and co-workers, because in Florida there aren't many Japanese community. It was great, and you know, talk to them again. But when I talk to them and when I hit a certain subject, people a lot of times they stop thinking about the topic that I'm talking, and they use the word like, "Oh, that's a difficult topic," or oh, that's a serious topic, and they just stop thinking and just disconnect. So you feel like we are having conversation, and all of a sudden, the other person just like is gone,
Yeah.
and you lose the connection.
And you're like, are they not interested in me?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily, but also if you can't connect deeper level, you feel alone. Some people ask me, when you're in the US, do you feel alone? But I feel alone even living in my own country if you can't connect as deep as you want to. And I didn't experience that much in the US. I was always able to receive the response whatever topic that I'm talking to. That's one thing that I'm having hard time. So that's like things that I'm feeling again of the communication part isn't fully there. But other things, food are amazing, so cheap, everything comes on time. It's a little bit hot.
Yeah, it
But-
is pretty. I feel like the weather's better lately.
Yes.
When we first got here,
Yeah.
maybe I'm used to it now, but I couldn't. It was like we live in Florida, but I think we're in a car, so we're not walking outside as much.
Yeah.
So here we were so hot. But yeah, going off of what he was saying, I feel like also you grew as a person so much in the US to where you want to talk about deeper stuff now.
I always wanted,
Yeah.
and never really opened up.
But now
because-
you're more open to it. You know?
Yeah.
And you can
Definitely.
freely discuss anything.
Yeah.
I think Americans have more, like, not that they have more opinions, but they express their opinions more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
there's a
get to
difference
use it.
between having opinions
Right.
and not having opinions and not expressing them.
And,
Right.
and maybe, I mean, I can't speak for Japanese people, but from my perspective, it's almost like some people will almost say, oh, I don't have an opinion. When they do, they just don't want to express it,
Yeah.
or they're not listening to their own opinion, maybe.
That too.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
I
say
mean-
for sure,
I
but
mean, education system is so different
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I think it depends
Yeah.
on the person.
Like sometimes like Japanese people can't have like enough confidence in their opinions, enough to like express it to other people.
Yeah, maybe it comes down to the confidence of
Yeah.
like maybe it's an unpopular opinion, they don't want to say it. Even if someone does agree with them,
Yeah.
they're almost maybe a little self-conscious of actually really saying it.
Yeah, like I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
compared to that, like Americans, like
Like, we talk about everything.
yeah,
yeah.
even if it's not like the majority, like that
Yeah.
opinion of the majority, right?
Mhm.
I heard that you researched a lot about like places you want to go to in Tokyo or
Mhm.
Tokyo, Japan. Where do you want to go to?
Well, I want to go to Disney, but we've been to Disney before, so I think we've been to a lot of places I wanted to go, like a lot of Sanrio cafes. I definitely would like to go to Okinawa. We went to Team Lab. That was a lot of fun. A lot of like touristy things, I would say.
Yeah.
So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Are there any food that you enjoy in Japan?
Like since they're like too expensive in the States or like
Not available.
not available in the States.
I don't think there's any that I want to try now, but like I wanted to try and have already tried, like Japanese pancakes.
Japanese pancakes.
There's also, I don't know the name of it, but like the strawberry candy in Harajuku.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the stick. I really like
Oh.
that.
Ichigo
And I
and
wanted to-
strawberry.
Yeah, like with a like
the
candy
candy.
coating.
Candy
Yeah.
coating,
I really wanted to try that, and it was really, really good. And then also Japanese French toast. I didn't want to try it, but when I did try it, it was
Yeah.
so good. It's really,
Is it
really
different
good.
from the States?
Oh yeah, like the States, everything is super thin. Like our bread is very thin. So here, everything's a lot thicker and like fluffier and honestly better. The only thing I would say is I really like chocolate chip pancakes in the States. They put the chocolate chips inside of the pancakes, but here they don't do that.
Yeah.
Sushi.
Sushi. Wait.
Sushi's expensive in the States.
Oh yeah.
Like really expensive.
And is it good in the States?
Not as good.
Depends if you pay a lot, yeah, but you have to pay a lot.
Yeah.
And when you eat the sushi in Japan, you're like, I'm back home.
Yes.
I feel like it's more like a luxury in the States to
Yeah.
go get sushi at a restaurant, probably.
And there's
How
a
they
few
want.
like fake sushi, right? Like
Oh, there's a lot of cakes.
pizza sushi.
Yeah, rice bowl in New York City is like $8 or $6.
What?
It's just the hunger rice.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
luxury food we are eating every day
Yeah, but
in the US.
aside from food too, everything in Japan is a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Like a lot cheaper compared to the
Dentist
US.
is so cheap. I just pulled out my wisdom teeth, just like less than $100. If you do that in the States, probably like
Thousands.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For us to have health insurance, it's like over $500
Oh my
a month. A
Yeah.
month.
A month?
Yeah. For good health insurance,
Yeah.
like
Jesus.
decent.
Yeah.
It's not even just like, you know.
It's not real good.
It's not
It's decent.
really good. Like I think the really good one is like around $700-800 a month, and we can't even get health insurance through our job because we're self-employed. So we actually have to pay out of pocket for it.
Pay out of your own budget.
Yeah. I mean, even if you have a job in the States, they just take it out of your paycheck, but it's a lot less because they have like a deal or something.
Yeah.
But like, if you're
With
self-employed,
the
like
company
you're
general
just
thing.
like on your own if you're self-employed.
Well, like you've come back to Japan, you've stayed for about a month, right?
Mhm.
Is there like anything you thought was really impressive about Japan, or maybe like things that are only in Japan?
I think it's really safe here overall. I think the States, depending on where you go, can be pretty dangerous compared to Japan. You know, guns are legalized there. There's a lot of things that are just not necessarily safe in America. It depends on where you go though. But here, I feel very safe walking outside alone. I don't feel safe walking outside alone in my own country, especially at night.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I
Yeah.
always go with somebody, and if I do go to the grocery store alone, I'm always like on the phone with Haruki
Yeah.
or a friend when I go into the parking lot because kidnapping and stuff, you know, people take you.
Wait, so that's like
For a woman, it's very scary in the
Yeah.
U.S.
that's
I
the
would
thing
say.
that pretty like happens a
It's
lot.
common, yeah.
It's common.
You hear it on
Yeah.
the news a lot, and I have had like very scary instances as well, like
Yeah.
experiences.
Shooting and like kidnapping, stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's very often.
Oh yeah, there's
I
like an
like-
Amber Alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just like notification to your phone. It notifies everybody when like a child goes missing. So like we
Oh.
get that pretty often. But I also want to say another thing I like about Japan. I really liked like the themed cafes here.
Yeah.
We kind of have some in America, but not very like not as much as here and not as cool as here.
Yeah.
I think here it's very very unique.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love convenience store.
Yeah.
Vending machines.
Oh, the
I mean,
vending
like there's
machines,
so many.
Yeah, like it's so easy to access.
And
if
there's
you want
the
anything.
quality of the food is actually so good.
It's
Yeah.
really good. It's
Wait,
really
there's
good.
no convenience stores in like.
We do, but you can't find
Not
the
as
Japanese
many, right?
stuff.
Yeah, and it's also not as many food options.
Yeah.
It's mostly like just processed foods.
Yeah.
And also you don't see vending machines on the street in America.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
Oh, because they can take the whole
What?
things with
Like-
truck.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
someone would steal it.
Still whole
Actually.
like, vending
Yeah,
machine.
actually, like
What?
people steal cars and trucks all the time.
Yeah.
Like big things. Like you hear crazy stories there.
There's one time in New York City, people literally pull out
A
a
chainsaw.
chainsaw and then
oh, the
cut-
bicycle.
cutting
The
the
bike.
bicycle and taking out
Yeah.
for like
Yeah, I read
5
that on your
seconds.
book.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people steal things there. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really
You,
safe.
you
here.
just have to be careful in America is all. You
Yeah.
have to always,
Be
look
aware.
around and be more aware of your surroundings. I think I was taught that from such a young age, so I'm used to that.
Yeah.
It's still really scary, but like I'm so used to it that it's like second nature to me. It's not like, oh my god, I'm so scared, but it's just normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so do you have any like goals you to chase together? Or do you have anything you want to do in the future?
Accomplish.
Yeah.
We want to open like a cat cafe.
Yeah.
Mixed with like Japanese bakery items in the US because there's nothing like that in the US and we really want to introduce how good Japanese food is
Yeah.
and actually hire like a Japanese
Yeah, that might be
maker.
a really great idea.
Yeah, and
That's so cool.
And I'm really into crystals, so I want to have like a crystal shop next to it and make it like a very spiritual, calm place for people to go and relax and enjoy food and stuff like that. I think also just like keep doing YouTube.
Yeah.
That's like just lifestyle,
Yeah. Keep making more contents on YouTube and writing more books. And
He's writing a second book.
yeah, I'm writing my second book right now. Yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing and what we are doing, and we don't really think about the future as much. We
Go with the
really,
flow.
we really try to focus on right now.
Oh yeah,
because
the present.
present
Yeah.
is what we really have. So
Yeah, the present is the most important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all that exists.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, I would also like to, for like individually, I'd like to get my certification in breathwork. It's like certain breathing techniques to heal people. So like stuff like that. I'm really into like spiritual stuff. So
That sounds really cool. I think especially the cafe idea, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's a really good idea. Okay, this is the last question. I think a lot of people watching this video, I think there are a lot of people who want to learn a second language or go study abroad.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice or messages for those people?
I've never experienced studying abroad really, but I would say just to try to keep an open mind about things, because there's going to be things no matter where you go that are very, very different to what you're used to.
Yeah.
And to try to understand the perspectives of everybody else and things that may be necessarily like maybe not good in your country might be good in another country, or you know, vice versa. So I know it's very vague, but I guess try to just have an open mind towards people, towards places and things, and just really enjoy the present moment, because that's really important.
I would say listen to your heart and what you really feeling, and follow your passion and excitement. And this is something that I'm writing in my book, but this is your life, nobody else. And you're not living for somebody else.
Yeah.
You're living for your life. So be you and find who you are and dream big and do more.
Yeah, I think going off of that, definitely don't fall in the path of somebody else or do something because somebody else says that you have to do it. Or, you know, for instance, learning a language or doing certain things, don't learn it one way because someone said that. What works for somebody else may not work for you, but try different things.
Yeah, so find the
to
way that
see
works
what
best
works
for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and just you only understand yourself better by trying new things. So just have an open mind and keep your heart open, and yeah.
Thank you so much for those awesome, very deep words. So this is the end of the interview. There are social media pages, the links, and his book is going to be in the description down below. So make sure to check it out. Their videos are really cool, so make sure to check it out, subscribe, and comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're also in their video too, so make sure to check that out too.
Yes.
Yeah, we heard so much good advice about mastering English and a lot more. So
Yeah, so yeah.
Make sure to check
and
that out.
he was sleeping too, so he wanted to see some
Cute action.
cute action. It's on our channel. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Appreciate
being here. We had so much fun with you. But I guess this is the end of the video.
Yeah, bye!